Hello, and welcome to the DoodleCast. We're doing story time again today, but in the studio today I have Miles and Kat, and we're 100% in-house today. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah.
We shout out Miles a lot because he helps with tech in the studio, but who are you, Miles?
Shit. I'm just a person every day in Colorado, in the world, trying to be the best that I can be.
I mean, yeah, definitely a worldly dude.
Yeah, musician, tech savvy gentleman, previous dreadlock wearer. I don't know. I don't really like describing myself. I'm kind of bad at being my hype man.
Yeah, isn't that a thing?
Yeah. That shit is hard, man.
Remember the first time you had to write a resume?
Oh, God. I gotta finish updating mine.
Or a college application letter?
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, can you write for 3 pages to this very vague prompt? And basically what I need you to do is tell me how you are the shit. Can you do that for me?
Tell me why you're better than everyone.
Yeah.
I'll say good things about Miles if he wants to say good things about himself.
Okay.
That's what Kat's here for.
I like compliments.
Miles is like one of the most talented yet humble people that I know. He's such an amazing musician and like dedicates himself to that, which I really admire. And he plays a lot of different instruments, which is also really cool.
I try.
Yeah.
I need to get better at guitar. I'm not very good at it.
String instruments are hard.
That's so hard.
Yeah.
And I have
especially when you come from a wind background.
Yeah.
Oh my God, so much respect for anyone that plays string instruments or rhythm instruments.
I don't know. I got deep respect for tuba players.
Yeah, tuba players got it real.
We should try to get Devon back in Denver. Devon, if you're listening.
Hey, Devon.
Hey, bro.
Come here.
Come back.
JJ's visiting soon.
Right?
Oh, word?
Yeah.
Straight up, I heard about that too. We're just talking about, old high school homies. We've all known each other for a really long time. Back at Denver School of the Arts in the band hallway / orchestra hallway. So, yeah, I remember when Miles was like in the 6th grade.
Yeah. Back when I was a little bald head.
Yeah, you
wearing all of the graphic tees from JCPenney.
Just as dedicated to music, just as cool, but just a young blood.
Yeah.
So I decided I wanted to read something today because I always want to read something. So we're going to start with that. This is a lot shorter, though. It's not going to take, 2 days to read. It's another Zelazny. Ha, surprise, everybody. I'm reading Zelazny. It's called Go Starless in the Night. And I thought it might be a cool story to kind of, start a discussion off of. All right.
Awesome.
Darkness and silence all about, and nothing within it. Me? The first thought came unbidden, welling up from some black pool. Me? That's all. Me, he thought? Then who? What? Nothing answered. Something like panic followed, without the customary physical accompaniments. When this wave had passed, he listened, striving to capture the slightest sound. He realized that he had already given up on seeing. There was nothing to hear, not even the smallest noises of life. Breathing, heartbeat, the rasping of a tired joint came to him. It was only then that he realized he lacked all bodily sensations. But this time he fought the panic. Death, he wondered? A bodiless, dark sentence beyond everything? The stillness. Where? What point in space-time did he occupy? He would have shaken his head. He recalled that he had been a man, and it seemed that there were memories somewhat that he could not reach. No name answered his summons, no view of his past came to him. Yet he knew that there had been a past. He felt that it lay just below some dim horizon of recall. He strove for a timeless interval to summon some recollection of what had gone before. Amnesia? Brain damage? Dream? He finally asked himself, after failing to push beyond a certain feeling of lurking images. A body, then. Start with that. He remembered what bodies were: arms, legs, head, torso. An intellectual vision of sex passed momentarily through his consciousness. Bodies. Then he thought of his arms. He felt nothing. He tried to move them. There was no sense of their existence, let alone movement. Breathing. He attempted to draw a deep breath. Nothing came into him. There was no indication of any boundary whatsoever between himself and the darkness and silence. A buzzing tone began, directionless. It oscillated in volume, it rose in pitch, dropped to a rumble, returning to a buzz. Abruptly then, it shifted, to world-like approximations he could not quite decipher. There was a pause, as if for some adjustment. Then, hello, came clearly to him. He felt a rush of relief mingled with fear. The world filled his mind, followed by immediate concerns as to whether he had actually heard it. Hello? Again then, the fear faded. Something close to joy replaced it. He felt an immediate need to respond. Yes? Hello? Who? His answer broke. How had he managed it? He felt the presence of no vocal mechanism, yet he seemed to hear a faint echoing of his own reply, feedback-like, tinny. Where? Its source was not localized. It seemed then that several voices were conversing, hurried, soft, distant. He could not follow the rush of their words. Then, hello again. Please respond one more time. We are adjusting the speaker. How well do you hear we? Clearly now, he answered. Where am I? What has happened? How much do you remember? Nothing. Panic not Ernest Dawkins. Do you remember your name is Ernest Dawkins? From your file, we have it. Now I do. The simple statement of his name brought forth a series of images. His own face, his wife's, his 2 daughters, his apartment, the laboratory where he worked, his car, a sunny day at the beach. That day at the beach. That was when he first felt the pain in his left side, a dull ache at first, increasingly over ensuing weeks. He had never been without it after that, until now, he suddenly realized. It's coming back, my memory, he said. It's as if a dam had broken. Give me a minute. Take your time. He shied away from the thought of the pain. He had been ill, very ill, hospitalized, operated upon, drugged. He thought instead of his life, his family, his work. He thought of school and love and politics and research. He thought of the growing world tensions and of his childhood. And, are you all right, Ernest Dawkins? He had lost track of time, but that question caused him to produce something like a laugh from somewhere. Hard to tell, he said. I've been remembering things. But as to whether I'm all right, where the hell am I? What's happened? Then you have remembered not everything. He noted odd inflections in the questioning voice, possibly even an accent that he could not place. I guess not. You were quite unwell. I remember that much. Dying, in fact, as they say. He forced himself to return to the pain, to look beyond it. Yes, he acknowledged, I remember. And it was all there. He saw his last days in the hospital as his condition worsened, passing the point of no return. The faces of his family, friends, and relatives wearing this realization. He recalled his decision to go through with an earlier resolution, long since set into motion. Money had never been a problem. It seemed it had always been there in his family, his by early inheritance, as ubiquitous as his attitude towards death after his parents' passing. Enough to have himself frozen for the long winter, to drop off dreaming of some distant spring. I recall my condition, he said. I know what must finally have occurred. Yes, came the reply. That is what happened. How much time has passed? Considerable. He would have licked his lips. He settled for the mental equivalent. My family? He finally inquired. It has been too long. I see. The others gave him time to consider this information. Then, you had of course considered this possibility. Yes, I prepared myself as much as a man can for such a state of affairs. It has been long, very long. How long? Allow us to proceed in our fashion, please. All right, you know your business best. We are glad that you are so reasonable a being. Being? Person, excuse we. I must ask something, though. Not having to do with the passage of time, is English now spoken as you speak it, or is it not your native language? There was a sudden consultation just beyond the range of distinguishability. There followed a high-pitched artifact. Then, also, let us reserve that question. The reply finally came. As you would. Then will you tell me about my situation? I am more than a little concerned. I can't see or feel anything. We are aware of this. It is unfortunate, but there is no point in misrepresenting it to you. The time has not yet come for your full arouse. I do not understand. What do you mean there is no cure for my condition yet? We mean that there is no means of thawing you without doing great damage. Then how is it that we are conversing? We have lowered your temperature even more, near to the zero absolute. Your nervous system has become superconductor. We have laid induction field upon your brain and initiated small currents within. Third space, left side head, and those movement areas for talk are now serving to activate mechanical speakers here beside we. We address you direct in the side of a brain places for hearing talk. There came another wave of panic. How long this one lasted he did not know. Vaguely he became aware of the voice again, repeating his name. Yes, he finally managed. I understand. It is not easy to accept. We know, but this does you no damage, came the reply. You might even take a heart from it, to know that you persist. There is that. I see your meaning and can take it as hope, but why? Surely you did not awaken me simply to demonstrate this. No, we have interest in your times, purely archaeological. Archaeological? That would seem to indicate the passage of a great deal of time. Forgive we, perhaps we have chose wrong word, thinking of it in terms of ruins, but your nervous system is doorway to times past. Ruins? What the hell happened? There was war, and there have been disasters. The record, therefore, is unclear. Who won the war? That is difficult to say. Then it must have been pretty bad. We would assume this. We are still ourselves learning. That is why we seek to know time past from your cold remains. If there was all this chaos, how is it that I was preserved through it? The cold-making units here are powered by atomic plant, which can well untended, save for computer, for a long time. An entire establishment is underground. Really? Things must have been quite a bit after my enrollment. Must have changed quite a bit after my enrollment here. It wasn't set up that way at the time I read the prospectus and visited the place. We really know little of the history of this establishment. There are many things of which we are ignorant. That is why we want you to tell us about your times. It is difficult to know where to begin. It may be better if we ask you questions. All right, but I would like answers to some of my own afterward. A suitable arrangement. Tell us then. Did you reside at or near your place of employment? No, actually I lived halfway across town and had to drive in every day. Was this common for the area and the country? Pretty much so, yes. Some other people did use other means of transportation, of course. Some rode on buses, some carpooled. I drove. A lot of us did. When you say that you drove, are we intended to understand that you refer to four-wheeled land vehicle powered by internal combustion engine? Yes, that is correct. They were in common use in the latter half of the 20th century. And there were many such? Very many. Have you ever problems involving presence of too many of them on trails at same time? Yes, certain times of day when people were going to work and returning, they were referred to as rush hour. At such times there were often traffic jams, that is to say, so many vehicles that they got in one another's way. Extremely interesting. Were such creatures as whales still extant? Yes. Interesting too. What sort of work did you do? I was involved in research on toxic agents of chemical and bacteriological nature, most of which was classified. What does that indicate? Oh, it was of secret nature, directed toward possible military application. Was war already in progress? No, it was a matter of preparedness. We worked with various agents that might be used if the need ever arose. We think we see. Interesting times. Did you ever develop any of efficient nature? Yes, a number of them. Then what would you do with them? It would seem hazardous to have such materials about during peace. Oh, samples were stored within the utmost precaution in a very safe place. There were 3 main caches, and they were well sheltered and well guarded. There was a pause. Then, we find this somewhat distressing, the voice resumed. Do you feel they might have survived some centuries? It is possible. Being peace-loving, we are naturally concerned with items dangerous to human species. You make it sound as if you are not yourself a member. There came another high-pitched artifact. Then, the language has changed even more than we realized. Apologies. Wrong inference taken. Our desire to deactivate these dangerous materials. Long have we expected their existence. You perhaps will advise? Their whereabouts unknown to us. I'm not so sure about that, he answered. No offense meant, but you're only a voice to me. I really know nothing about you. I'm not certain that I should give this information. There was a long silence. Hello? Are you still there? He tried to say. He heard nothing. Not even his own voice. Time seemed to do strange things around him. Had it stopped for a moment? Had he given offense? Had his questioner dropped dead? Hello? Hello? He said. Do you hear me? Mechanical failure, came the reply. Apologies for. Sorry about yesterday. Yesterday? Turned you off while obtaining new speaker, just when you were to say where best poisons are. I am sorry, he stated. You have asked for something that I cannot, in good conscience, give to you. We wish only to prevent damage. I am in the terrible position of having no way to verify anything that is told me. If something heavy falls upon you, you break like bottle. I could not even verify whether that had occurred. We could turn you off again, turn off the cold maker. At least it would be painless, he said, and with more stoicism than he felt. We require this information, and you must seek it elsewhere. We will disconnect your speaker and your hearer and go away. We will leave you thinking in the middle of nothing. Goodbye now. Wait! Then can you tell us? No, I can't. You will go mad if we disconnect these things, will you not? I suppose so, eventually. Must we do it, then? Your threats have shown me what you are like. I cannot give you such weapons. Ernest Dawkins, you are not intelligent being. And you are not an archaeologist, or you would do future generations the service of turning me off to save the other thing that I do know. You are right, we are not such. You will never know what we are. I know enough. Go to your madness. Silence again. For a long while the panic held him, until the images of his family recurred and his home and his town. These grew more and more substantial, and gradually he came to walk with them and among them. Then, after a time, he stopped reporting for work and spent his days at the beach. He wondered at first when his side would begin to hurt, then he wondered why he had wondered this. Later he forgot many things, but not the long days beneath the sun or the sound of the surf, the red rain, the blue, or the melting statue with the fiery eyes and the sword in its fist. When he heard voices under the sand, he did not answer. He listened instead to whales singing to mermaids on migrating rocks, where they combed their long green hair with shards of bone, laughing at the lightning and the ice. And that's it.
Whoa.
That's intense.
Yeah, they, maybe you should have given him the poison, man. Didn't sound like they had anybody to use it on, right?
Well, you don't know. There's so many different, ways you can interpret that character. It's like, it could be an alien, and, everyone on Earth has been, extinct except for these people that have been frozen. It could be... And it could be that the aliens actually, started the war,
Yeah.
They might not be peace aliens, after all.
It may be just that, the technology had advanced only maybe, 5 years in the future. And he goes in and, or some foreign government goes in and tries to probe this person.
Yeah, no, it could very well be, right? His body just gets taken by some other government. He's not sure whether it's, a foreign accent,
Right, they're just keeping him docile.
Well, and the other thing is how many of those memories are actually real that he's experiencing?
Yeah.
How many times did they do this to him?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's... shit like that's crazy. That's a great story.
It's good, and it's short, but it has, it's a lot in it,
Yeah. Who's the author?
Roger Zelazny, my favorite author.
Roger.
This guy. There's a picture of him at the front of the book. There's a drawing of him at the front of the book.
Okay, dig it.
Yeah, he's the best. He was like one of the first sci-fi writers to really like bring a lot of literary merit into the art, you know? Like he really wanted to be a poet, but he read a lot of sci-fi while growing up. Like he was a part of that first kind of birth of it whenever he was a kid, and he just like loved it.
Right.
And so when his like poetry career sort of wasn't doing well, he just decided he would write sci-fi because he had such a connection to it. And yeah, he totally changed the game for show. Totally changed the game.
That's awesome.
What do you think it was, Nick? Do you think it was aliens, or do you think it was more worldly?
I honestly, the way I kind of interpret it is like a post-human world, I think, you know, and it, because the way that they talked, it seems like they were kind of automatons.
Yeah, maybe
I
that
think
was just my
robots.
inflection, though. That's kind of
Yeah.
just how I, like, distinguish the two voices.
Well, also, though, like, the whole, like, do you use the four-wheely vehicle with the combustion?
Yeah.
Like, that sort of stuff is, like, how would a robot look at this?
Oh,
It'd
it
be
could...
like,
Hey, it could be Frost.
yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. It's a callback.
That's funny. Yeah, it could. The stories, like the story I read last week, they could be very much related, right?
Yeah. Absolutely, honestly. How do we know that this human isn't one of the frost-made, robot-brained
Robot brain.
men?
Ooh.
And that this is another future beyond that.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Part of me thinks that, you know, it's actually like, I think it is like a post-apocalyptic like future where aliens have invaded and are taking our resources, and they're just looking for more resources, you know? And this guy knows where like some stuff is, so they decide to like unfreeze him after they've pretty much annihilated everybody else. But
Where's the adamantium?
Yeah. Exactly.
who knows though?
As long as it's not called unobtainium, I'm...
Or it could be like, part of me when I first read this really was reminded of a Philip Jose Farmer series called the Riverworld series, where it's all about like some unknown thing that like takes human consciousness from all over history. Like they somehow figure out how to like take people like out of their bodies, give them new bodies, and then put them in this river world where they put like a bunch of different people all over and like of different cultures and from different times, and they have to like kind of live together or like
Yeah.
travel, you know?
Yeah.
It reminded me of that a little bit, just because it's like, you know, humans in the face of something like so different and like how they react to that. Yeah. I don't know. That's also a really good series if you guys want to check it out.
The whole time I was wondering, is this guy hungry? You know, like,
Yeah.
he's like...
Well, they turned off all parts of his brain that had to do with his body. He couldn't really feel anything.
But he could, like, logically identify things, you know?
Yeah.
Very weird.
Crazy form of torture.
Yeah.
Oh man, imagine. But you know, it seems kind of cool what he ends up in his head, even though he's going crazy. You know, he's like watching like whales and mermaids and shit.
Yeah.
Right. Like
He's on the beach. What's better than that, right?
Is it bad that this is what I want to happen to Walt Disney?
Right? Oh man, I've been reading a lot about like cryogenics though, and how actually fucked up it is. So I like that in this story that it's like it's actually really hot, like even to this like, you know, some seemingly futuristic race that he's talking to. They're still like, we can't really do much about your body. It would be really dangerous to unfreeze you.
Yeah.
Because it is such a stupid idea.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can preserve DNA, and that's about it. That's
Yeah.
that's what you're doing. And honestly, you could just put your beard in a jar and get the same result.
Is that why you save your beard, Steve?
I want to do an art project with him. I want to draw like a bunch of self-portraits of me at different points of facial hair and have actual facial hair on it, you know?
Oh my god.
That's been an idea I've had for years that I've never actually committed to, because every time I collect my beard, I feel like a crazy person.
It is a little crazy, but you still do it.
Yeah. Well, and also, like, you know, a beard doesn't look like a beard when you put it in a bag. It looks really weird.
Yeah.
It does look really weird.
It's like, oh, God. What is he up to? Fucking strange person collecting hair and stuff.
It's like that episode of Frasier where Frasier dates that girl that, like, makes pillows with the hair that she cuts off and shit. She, like, stuffs all her own pillows with her own hair.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. But at the same, like, that
Hopefully
seems
she
really
smells
weird to people, but it doesn't seem that weird to me, honestly. I don't know.
Yeah,
we don't do anything with hair that we cut off of ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, we could.
Weird, like, I've saved a little bit of hair from one of my friends, like, that I cut. I just, like, saved it. I don't even know why. I've never really used it, but I just really wanted it.
Yeah, I mean, that is kind of an interesting thought. Why do we waste hair?
There's a lot of uses for it.
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure you could make fabric out of it. You could. What are these salons doing?
Why do we waste as many things as we do in general now, though, you know? Like, there's so much waste in the world.
Yeah, but let's open a salon, and that'll be like the whole thing.
I'll pass.
A salon and hair shirt shop.
I don't want to open a salon.
Hair shirt shop. That's an investment.
Come get your hair shirts.
Right.
I don't know. I think if I was to open a business...
Well, I mean, we're wearing animal hair.
Yeah. It's like...
I want to open a bookstore, but, you know, that's just me. What kind of business would you open, Miles?
No, I want to try to get a studio space open. And then eventually turn it into, like, a fantasy factory.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Not only I operate, but, like, people can
Yeah.
come in and, like, have a space to not only do their shit and create it, but also perform it.
Fuck yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's, like, what we need everywhere, but, like, especially in Denver right now, because, like, so many places that had that intention also are just gone now, you know?
Yeah, I want to make, like, an artist YMCA.
Oh, that'd be so cool, dude. That'd be
Yeah.
so cool. Damn, I want to be a part of that.
Oh, please be a part of it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good goal. Making art the new religion.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Young Men's Artists Association.
This money bullshit, man. They got people stressing, killing each other.
Right?
This money bullshit.
It
for
is a
real.
game. It's all a game.
It is a game, and it's a game that's designed to turn us against each other.
And
you
if
know?
you're good at it, you're probably a sociopath.
I
Yeah.
don't know about that. You can be, well, I mean, all geniuses are crazy.
Yeah, or like lucky, you know?
Mm.
Because money's a weird game in that, like...
Yeah, sometimes it's just like...
It's like, oh, you win.
Yeah. 'Cause some people can read that shit, though, you know?
Yeah.
It goes into, like, intuition.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, some
watching
people
for
can play
patterns.
the game really well, like intuitively, yeah.
But then, you know, some people just, like, leave something on the table and then all of a sudden it grows into some other shit and they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's how I want it to be, right? Like,
Yeah.
make money without even really trying.
Yeah, the goal is to have your money make you money.
For real. For real.
I wish my money
Speaking
could
of
shake people's
sociopaths, so
hands.
I like started
Speaking of
binge watching Mindhunter last night, which is like a really cool show about like the first people that started coining the term a serial killer. I'm super into that kind of stuff. Anyway, there's like, you know, a conversation between the characters where, you know, they're like, oh yeah, Ron, like Nixon's a sociopath, and then one of the detectives like, oh, how could you be a sociopath and become the president? And then the chick, the like professor chick goes like, better question is like, how do you become the president and not be a sociopath?
Right.
For real though, right? It's like not something normal people strive for.
No.
Well, it's just kind of funny because we paint the president as a figurehead, but who that actually is somebody that's in control of the most armed and dangerously stupid people in the history of societies. It's amazing. So then it's like, how does that translate into the individual? You know, it's like,
Who like wants
oh
to
my god.
be in charge of some of the most dangerous shit in the world.
Yeah, it's like, cause yeah, who would you like if you walked up to somebody in public and you're just like, hey man, so there's this button, right? And you press this button and everything's just done. We're all just fucked.
That exists.
Can your
I hope he doesn't have clearance to shit like that.
Right? Well,
I hope he needs to wait 30 days. I hope he has to go to the DMV. Get the
red button license.
What the fuck are you trying to
Trump
do?
in line at the DMV trying to get permission to blow everything up.
No, you can't do that shit. Like,
Yeah, just some like black lady at the DMV just being like, hell nah. That's really he should have to go through something like that though, for real. I agree
no
with you.
person should have that much power, but I mean, people forego that power so that they can live comfortably. But I mean, your comfortability could be obtained without foregoing that safety. You know, you can be in this place in a state where, well, I guess. Not a state, like, not currently. You can't go to the United States. No, just for people listening, don't get that confused. But you can put yourself off in a situation where you can be sustainable and have the people that you're sustaining sustain you. And I mean, it's like the very basics of community, you know, and that gets such a bad look sometimes because of how unorthodox it is within this system that allows us to be so lazy and comfortable. That, you know, if you want to eat shit, you gotta plant food. You gotta go forage it. But, you know, if you want it readily available to you and you don't want to work for it, because I mean things can be readily available to you. That's what like a market is, right? You know, oh, I don't grow corn, but you did. You spent the last couple months doing it. I got all of this cabbage, so I'm gonna trade this for this. And I mean, like, that's business, and these things can exist without a medium like money that is controlled by you know, a monetary source. Yeah.
Not like people.
Right. Like,
Yeah, dude, I'm with you. Like, I think that when people are so resigned to being like, oh, it's too late to make changes, like, things are the way they are, like, it can't change, like, I think that's exactly what the kind of thinking that needs to stop in order for anything to get better. And, like, this whole, like, idea that everything can be moving forward, there needs to be forward momentum, like, I'm, like, the opposite. Like, we need to go back. Like, everyone on this planet should, like, really evaluate, like, history and, like, and understand, like, where we've come from and, like, how, like, we don't really need to be moving away from that. And I think, if anything, we need to be moving, like, back towards, like, what people, like, ancestrally were doing, you know?
Right.
And all that information is already there for us.
Right, and that's not to say, you know, don't get money. Like, that's never honestly a scenario that you could put yourself in, because right now that's kind of a necessary evil at this point.
Yeah.
And you're not going to change anything by just dropping out.
Yeah.
You have to enact change through
The system.
Yeah, because I mean, we are a system. We're a living embodiment of it. That's King Supers is what it is because people keep going back to have readily available food instead of supporting markets that have local grocers growing, producing produce in their neighborhood. But I mean, like, that's because maybe they don't want to wait for somebody else to do that, and maybe they don't want to do that. But I mean, it's all about intention and time and what you put into it. Like, if you're going to take time to learn math or all of these different sciences, yeah, that's great. But if you can't eat, you don't know how to grow your own food, you're really taking a step backwards, because now you know all of these is a trade, but, you know, let's say you got a whole bunch of doctors now in the community. Who's going to be feeding them if you ain't got nobody who knows how to grow food?
Yeah.
I don't know. And I mean, like, I could definitely, and I feel like I am doing more and more research and understanding and, like, what it means to truly be sustainable and create a community like that. But, you know, it's recognizing, I think, is the first step, that we kind of have this shit backwards with the way we think
Yep.
living is supposed to be, or standard of living is supposed to be.
So fucking backwards. I'm with you, Miles. Everything is so fucking backwards, and it's so exhausting, and, like, I see why people, even, you know, myself included, get so resigned to the way things are, and so like, negative about the possibility of change even happening. Like, you know, not even just, like, in my lifetime, which I'm super doubtful that it, you know, but, like, at all, you know, it's so hard to imagine a world where, like, the majority of the people are gonna feel the same way as we do about this, you know? I want that world to exist really bad, but it's, like, hard to find the faith in humanity, you know?
Yeah. Like, my thing is like, I hate people, but I love humanity.
Yeah.
I hate people, but I love humanity. The shit we can do if we work together, and the shit that we do individually.
I'm learning that I don't know. I know that there's different types of intelligence and everybody has things to offer, but, like, people that I have to, like, go out of my way to explain shit to, and then they still don't get it. Oh my fucking God, what do we do about those people?
I mean, yeah, it's frustrating.
Like, they're almost as bad as, like, can we not talk about that right now? This is making me uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, like, I'm definitely,
like,
I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of, I'm slow sometimes to understand perspectives, but I am genuine and truly trying to understand it. So, I mean, like, I'm ignorant. I'm not gonna say that I'm not.
Yeah.
There are definitely things I can learn about, but I mean,
but it's like a willingness. You
yeah,
know?
it's definitely a willingness
Yeah.
to teach you, because I mean, it's draining to try to continuously try to portray something to somebody or express a manner of feeling that you have personally, that you maybe want to be treated a certain way or convey, and then have it just completely be, like, almost disregarded. At that point, it's a certain type of love that you have to understand has to exist outside of a physical connection. Like, I can't really be dealing with you on a physical basis. Like, we don't need to be in the same room working and doing stuff, you know. You know, maybe our minds can grow and create something us apart. I mean, we got technology. We could probably do stuff from a vast distance, but maybe we're not resonating right here. Maybe the energy that we have, I mean, it's
Yeah, it's all about how you use things, I guess.
yeah.
Like, I used to think it was, like, all about the intentionality behind it, but the thing is, like, somebody can have the best intentions in the world and still misuse something.
Yes.
You know?
Definitely.
In fact, I think it's more common than not, you know? Like,
I'm always trying to say that, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, I meant to be good. It's like, well, you didn't. It doesn't,
I know a lot of people that like to, like, do the conspiracy thing and, like jumping off of that ship, but it's like, the more you actually look and take in the information, the more it becomes clear that it's more often than not just a lack of care than, like, somebody doing something for, like, a cynical specific reason. Because no offense to humans, but most people aren't that smart.
Well, and we were just talking about this last night, Nick, and I've been talking about this a good amount with a lot of people lately, is, like, when people are in face of people that they think are smarter than them, a lot of people get defensive and they feel threatened, you know?
Yeah.
Instead of being like, wow, I can learn a lot from this person. And you know how this actually started, Nick, was someone asked me about you, and, like, oh, what do you like about your boyfriend? Like, what, you know, like, what's he like? And I was like, well, he's really fucking smart, and I learn something from him like almost every day, and that's something that like really that really matters to me. And I need to be around people that are smarter than me and that I can learn from, or I don't feel like I'm doing anything, you know?
I feel that. Feeling stagnant, or just people like just feel like they're draining you.
Yeah.
It's like you're not really giving anything.
Yeah, totally.
So, yeah. And then people just have intelligent conversation goes a long way.
It really does.
Because this world is so much full of a lot of bullshit and a lot of people trying to scheme. So when you can talk to somebody at face value, that's unreal.
Yeah, isn't that tight when that happens? It's, I don't know. I love running into people where it's like, oh, I can actually talk to you about the thing.
Yeah.
And it's not going to make you, like, freak out.
Yeah, it's hard for a lot of people to get over that initial uncomfortability of like, oh, this person's realized something that I haven't necessarily realized. Maybe they're like a little, you know, it's this idea like they're more advanced than I am, which is not even.
It's not even true.
It's not even what it's about.
Yeah.
But that's how people perceive it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like anyone who's trying to teach you anything, that's not what they want you to think that, you know, that's not the angle they want to come at you with, you know.
Yeah.
But then it comes down again to like something that we always talk about. It's like, can you really truly teach anyone anything?
Right.
Like they kind of have to realize it for themselves.
Yeah.
And that's infuriating to have realized something yourself and not be able to like transmit that to someone else.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it's something that people deal with all the fucking time though. Like, no matter how much you say you try to teach people from your experience, like they need their own experience of it in order to actually learn.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a really hard thing. Like, as a teacher that I am, like, it's really, really, really hard.
Right.
Yeah. It's just like, you know, not everything should be explaining institutional racism to grandma. You know what I mean?
Man.
Like...
It's not just to grandma.
Yeah, well, you know I know what you mean. Metaphor I'm making.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like, yeah, patience, I guess, maybe.
Definitely patience.
But
it's a hard thing. Like, I consider myself an extremely patient person, but I still have days where I'm just like at the end of my rope, and it's just hard to keep going. And then you just gotta wake up the next day and just harness it in again.
yeah,
and just hope, I guess, even though hope really does very little. But
hope does a lot. Hope can keep people alive.
It does keep people alive. That's definitely true. It keeps people alive.
My whole thing with patience is, like, I lose patience with myself. I don't really lose it with people. Because I'm very much in the camp of, like, if I don't like the way you're doing something, I'm just going to do it instead of you doing it, you know?
That's not how people learn, though, dude.
I know.
They've got to do it themselves. Like,
I got to get shit done, though.
Yeah, but them watching you do it's not going to help anything.
Hey, that's how I learned, man.
And you can't do it all alone. You really can't. You can't do anything alone.
Yeah.
Except for masturbate.
Oh, no.
And that's even better with somebody else in the room.
It
is. I guess so.
There's our moment of masculinity, brought to you today by James. James, what can dude do for you?
Oh my gosh.
The answer is really not a lot. Well,
but
I think that people, you know, I think that people are too egotistical often, and I think that's why people freeze themselves, you know? Like, they're like, oh, me, myself, I'm so important that I need to be a part of what's going to happen next, you know?
Yeah. Honestly, though, not having an ego presents you with the exact same outcome. It's very weird. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like, ego-dead people almost act the same as narcissists.
You, like, have to have somewhat of an ego. Like, it is an important part of your psyche, but it can't overcome everything else.
No.
Yeah. Well,
it's a balance, like everything.
Yeah. Well, it's just, like, if you just, like, don't care about the perception, it turns into the same thing as thinking that your perception is the only perception. You know, like if you're like, no, I just don't give a fuck. It literally turns into the same thing.
That's a good point.
It's pretty wild. Like, I don't know. I've kind of been thinking about that a lot lately.
But that's super true, and you see that shit all the time. Like people that, you know, put themselves on like they're so above everything. It's like you get the same, you know, feeling from them as someone who's like super conceited.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm above conceit.
I don't even mess with that anymore. It's like, well, you just did. You silly person. Yeah, Kat and I were like having a conversation with our buddy.
Oh, I knew you were going to bring this up.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it too, but I was like, should we bring this up? Is this going to outrage people?
I don't think so. I think
Because our buddy got kind of upset about it, and it does kind of represent like a really big divide in like two different ways of thought.
What happened?
Well, it's like the whole premise was which is worse, rape or murder. You know, that's it's basically that equivocation, and Kat and I are both in like team like
Rape is
murder's
worse.
not really anywhere near that.
And it came down to like to our buddy, like the end of an individual is the biggest tragedy.
And I'm sitting there like, there's gonna be another one of me.
And then to us, it's like the destruction of the individual that has to be sustained.
Yeah.
You know, like when someone is raped, like they have to live with that experience for the rest of their lives, and it changes them completely.
Right, you don't remember dying.
When you're dead, you're
exactly.
just dead. It's over. Like there's something kind of relieving in it, honestly.
Right, I mean, it's supposed to happen.
There's no relief in rape. There's
Right.
no relief in rape. And
Yeah.
rape victims are some of the most misunderstood and examined people in our society. They're kind of swept under the rug, and there's not much support for them, and I just think that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you're murdered, like that's a big deal to media, you know?
Well,
That's
I mean,
a huge deal.
It's a big deal to the people left.
Yeah.
You know, because
But
after you're
same
gone.
with rape though, like, and then it's so sad because often people treat people that are raped like they've been murdered almost.
Yeah,
Because they
like-
kind of have. A part of them is completely gone, and they will never be able to get back.
Yeah, that's true. So,
And those people lose as much as someone who gets murdered, but they have to keep living with it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm in that camp, but
But yeah, it is just like, it is the same question of ego, you know, like, if you have no ego, it's a lot easier to justify, like,
Death?
any form of ultimatum. It's like, well, and that's why people with ego death are, like, super dualistic about 9 times out of 10, and, like, it's like, yeah, it's weird how they turn and morph into the same thing, though.
mm-hmm.
I mean,
Definitely
any
love it.
extremes though, if you're gonna go on the extreme of either side, yeah, it's gonna end up feeling kind of the same.
Yeah.
You have to find a balance. You just have to find the middle and like try to stick with it best you can.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, I would have to say that rape is worse than murder, just personally.
Yeah.
But I mean,
It's because I like women. And
yeah.
I know that it's not.
I just don't like
Yeah.
rape.
Feminine thing, but
I mean, like, yeah, rape is just destructive incarnate.
yeah.
Death is just so much. Death is natural.
Well, and like,
Murder is intended as well, and I mean, it's not to be like.
they're both like control. You
Yeah.
know, like
They're both control and they're both like
You know, what? I think-
arousal through destruction, but
yeah.
it's
You know,
like
I think when you try to measure evil, it's all evil.
Yeah.
it's all evil. That's very true.
I think you can't put one evil and say, oh, that's okay, because then you make it.
But you see, they do that. That's what the criminal justice system does.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
weighs the evils.
And that is evil.
Yeah, like I really do feel like people that have raped should have like the same consequences as someone who's murdered somebody. I feel like that the consequence for rape should be just as harsh as the consequence for homicide, for death, for
Yeah. Right.
murder. So that's how I feel, and That's from like me watch. I
And
watch
for
a lot
people
of
that
crime
aren't aware,
documentaries.
it's totally not. Like, by comparison to getting, like,
no.
a murder charge, it's a fucking slap on the wrist.
You might get like 15 years for rape. You know?
Yeah, and, like, if you're actually convicted of murder, like, in most states, the minimum is...
It's
like,
life.
Is, like, at...
First degree.
Or, like, 20 years
20
with
to life,
parole
yeah.
or something like that. Like...
Yeah. I don't know. Just the whole prison system is so messed up. I
really
can
is.
talk about it for days, but yeah.
This has been DoodleCast. We've gotten weirdly philosophical and dark today.
That's just like how life is, right?
Thanks, sci-fi.
That's why I love sci-fi though, because just reading that 6 or 7 page story has just,
Yeah.
made us think of so many different things and brought us into
Right?
so many different tracks. And
Yeah.
I mean, he's put that all in this story that doesn't really reveal much to you. Like, there's so much mystery in it, but at the same time, it makes you think about so much.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
We are getting sort of close to the end. We still have a few minutes, but I just wanted to shout out a couple things. And really, I only have one. Hopefully, a few of you folks got down to the costume ball last night. It's pretty awesome. The other event we plugged, I wasn't there, so I don't actually know, but I'm just assuming. I'm making an ass out of you and me. But the other show I plugged last week, the Creep Show at Cabal, if you missed it last night, well, here's some good news, everyone. Good news, everyone. Cabal is starting to have open hours Tuesday through Saturday, so you can go check it out.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. So you might also run into somebody there that's familiar.
Well, thank you, Farnsworth.
Yes. You might see me trying to get my act together and pull prints, maybe.
Yeah, hopefully me and Nick will be doing more art that's productive.
Yeah.
It might make money.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's exciting. I'm excited about things that are coming up and about,
Yeah.
new opportunities and hopefully meeting new people. It's exciting, even though it's daunting and even though I'm so antisocial lately.
I'm like, Kat, we need to start going to shows. And then for me, it's like, I work on weekends.
And I work on the weekdays.
Kat needs sleep.
It's a hustle every day.
It is. I really like what you've done, Miles. I
Yeah,
really
it's
like the colors
awesome.
that you've done.
Oh, thank you.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was thinking of like mountains and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you have like,
I'm not good at drawing like
I'm-
definitive
Yeah.
art, so I just
Yeah,
like
I get it.
abstract it and try to like give a feeling.
I mean, that's how we all kind of do.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to write "You'll Stay Frozen Forever."
That was dope. I'll fuck with that.
you know what's funny is I'm actually drawing on the back of
Reed Rogers Lassie.
this.
Hey.
Look at that. And yeah, Miles, do you have anything you want to tell us about before we go? It's a formality. You're my
Love
guest.
people and practice love, y'all. It's hard, but you can do it.
That's our plug for the week. Love
Love.
about life.
Yes.
We were gonna talk about love today, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I was being kind of kitschy
It's
this
good.
morning.
I know. It's good to end on
They
that.
were like,
though.
what are we going to do today? And I was like, I love you. Let's talk about love. But I'm pretty sure that's what Atinia's show is, right?
And yeah, right.
Yeah.
Her whole show is
Yeah.
about love. What?
Yeah.
We
Always.
don't need
It's
to.
all about love, always.
Yeah.
It's because we love Miles that he decided to hop in today.
That's because I love y'all that I did it.
Hell yeah. And that's the moral of the story. And just final shout outs. Shout out to Samson.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna gesture at his ghost. For keeping everything crisp, clean, and on the scene. Shout out to Rich. I'm gonna gesture at his. Ooh. And yeah, Rich is of course the guy that's helping us sound good.
Oh yeah, and
Miles
shout
helps
out
with that
to
too.
Leica, the stew dog.
Yeah.
We
Like,
actually have not shouted out like.
No, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, Leica doesn't get shout outs, but she's
Yeah.
just about as part of this as everyone
important.
else.
Yeah.
She's super important.
She centers me.
Great dog. Rich is a lucky man.
Yeah. And yeah, that's been our show for the day. This has been the DoodleCast.
Woo.
Keep keep it groovy and be well. And of course, we are here with We Are Denver.
Peace.